What's up? It's me, your friend Aspiring Spike.
I'm gonna give this one a go. But it's very hard to not put your foot in your mouth at least a little bit over the course of 8 hours in front of a camera. So I try to just not to take myself too seriously in general. Yeah, I mean, I was definitely kind of worried about getting Thoughtseize there. So kind of nice that we could flare this turn, I guess. Should I dismember this Marionette Apprentice? I think I probably should. Unless they just obviously have Cord. I think this hand is okay. Keep on the draw. I don't know. Maybe your average 6 is better. I think I'm gonna not attack here. Kind of close, I think. So they're gonna court for a halfling. If they court for a halfling, I'm gonna I think trickster it on their upkeep and then try to, either make it awkward for them to go for a Yawgmoth or just be able to flare their Yawg. But I don't think we're supposed to flare the court on one, right? So they play a Dryad Arbor. So I guess I'm really hoping to draw a land so that I can go Master plus Violin, either Tidebinder or Svyelun, and probably Tidebinder, because I would imagine they're going to cast a Yawg off the halfling. We don't get our wish. I'm going to come up nitpicky or whatever. Yeah, I didn't think so. I mean, I was just kind of, again, I don't know. It's maybe like, right, like if you're just watching me on YouTube, like it's to some extent it's a little bit edited. You just get like a thing. Like this is just kind of how I am on stream. I don't have a lot of filter, and I just think out loud a lot. But I consider trying Tails End over Flare of Denial. No, not at first, right? Not on our first Merfolk League. Like for me, like 4 Flare of Denial is like why I want to play Merfolk so badly. All right, kind of cooked against the Yogg here. They're casting one. Okay, so on the play against Yogg for game 2. Kind of getting some lag. I'm going to bring in the Tidebinders. I'm going to bring in the Totems. I'm going to cut, and I think I'm just cutting the Silvergill Adepts. I'm not sure about the Hexcatchers or not. How many Harbinger of the Seas do I want? Probably not the full 4. Although, my flares are a lot worse if I'm not playing the Silvergills. I'm going to play like 2 Harbingers. I don't think I want Subtlety at the moment. You could play Subtlety, but I'll play 2-2, I think. Cut Hexcatcher Bowmaster too strong. I appreciate the feedback, Nikachu, but I'm going to do this. I think it's just pretty important to have some amount of the card for Flare of Denial, and we can play around Bowmaster. I think we're also on the play, so Bowmaster on it's not like as big a deal even. Congrats on your win, also, of course. Harbinger is a very good strat versus Yaga cuts off black. Yeah, I mean I don't know if you want to play 4 though. They have a lot of mana dorks. I'm gonna go ahead and just trade this for the front half of the Young Wolf. Yeah, I think this is okay. Oh, right, I forgot even loses Undying. Okay, it's actually just actively pretty good then. Should be okay to play Sylvoon. If they have Grist and they minus, then we can kill the Grist on the backswing. Is Merfolk a hard deck, or is it just underplayed? I know I played a good amount of Merfolk. I think Merfolk is kind of underrespected. I think the deck is pretty decent. I don't. It is. I think I think most decks in Modern are somewhat difficult, including Merfolk. Okay, so we get to kill the Grist. I have a Tidebinder in my hand. I'm gonna take this up to 3. Oh, nice. Maybe we should be playing more than 2. Yeah, you gotta play super duper tight, I think. So how likely do we think they are to double block my Harbinger if I send it in? I mean, I guess there's not really anything they can really punish me with, so... Although now I'll just play a Master. Let's bring in at least the 3rd Harbinger on the draw. I do think, the Adepts are worse on the draw than they are on the play. I wonder if we could mess around with just not playing Flare of Denial on the draw, especially because they have Halfling. They play our Hearses, like just pretty different sideboard plan on the draw makes some sense. Something along these lines. I think it looks pretty okay. Definitely like Flare add up more on the play than on the draw. Do you think I probably should add at least the 3rd Harbinger though? Well, keeping. Alright, we'll get around to dismembering you later, Delighted Halfling. I don't think they're going to have Thoughtseize in against me very often. But it might just still be good to play out the Sink into the Stupor as a land. They have turn 2 Grist. It's obviously kind of a disaster. This Nadu? They tap for blue. Okay, so, that's kind of a disaster. Could be a tricky game. Other Vial's kind of interesting. I think I'm probably playing 2nd Vial, casting, or dismembering the Halfling, and then Vialing and a Tide Shaper. Yeah, 7 life Dismember. Gotta do what you gotta do. 2nd chord for 2? Lord of Atlantis would be nice. Land also for Sylvoon wouldn't be the worst thing ever. Nor would it be the best thing ever. We could maybe cut them off double black here. Hard to imagine that's going to really do enough. Whatever makes sense to just hold Dismember at this point. I mean, you could hold it for Yogg, but I don't necessarily think you're that likely to like win through a Yogg just by dismembering it. So you're gonna need a Bowmaster for my Tideshaper. Not looking great. Yeah, maybe we shouldn't have the third Harbinger of the Seas too, because it's just like they're just so likely to play around it so much harder in game 3. So I imagine they're doing this so they can cast a Yogg. And I mean, I'm going to Subtlety and then still lose this game pretty hard, I think. Should we not target the Swamp for Harbinger? Yeah, maybe. Maybe we should target a Swamp. Seems like, yeah, that would have been better. Do you think Yogg is like typically one of the worst matchups, right? It's been a while since I've registered fish. Alright, I'll concede. So we're on the draw against Ruby Storm, huh? We don't have a Hexcatcher, but we do have turn 2 Flare. This is basically a blank card. I think okay, my opponent's on I think on the draw, knowing my opponent is playing Ruby Storm. Also funny, their username is Z or Storm Player. We'll keep this. I think the traditional Roblox scam list could still be better than Mardu scam list people have been trying. Yeah, I think there's a good chance. I really don't love the existing Mardu decks. I think we went on like a whole tirade about them recently, and it's just like there's a lot of different things I would do. And so we built like mono black, kind of like more fair Nightmare that we need to circle back and like play like a lot of MDFCs in that deck, I think. So I lost my train of thought again. But yeah, I don't think that the current Mardu lists are super duper good. I think they have a lot of problems. Okay, they hit a Ral and a Glimpse. Dingo says Nadu killed the scam decks. It's kind of interesting. I don't know if that's could possibly be that true, because it's like surely we can just like think about this. So I guess I need to see if this flip happens, because Trickster doesn't stop it. Yeah, I just don't know how true that can be. Where like you're still like you get to play Harsh Mentor on the board, and you're like a Thoughtseize Grief deck game 1. Maybe it's like Saga's just like really tough for you. Flage is pretty assertive against scam. Yeah, that's fair. I do agree with that. Okay, so they got a pass in Flames here. So my plan, I guess, was to Tidebinder the Ral and then hold up the Flare. But it actually seems like I should Dismember plus play this Master. So obviously not very good sequencing. But I'm just going to correct the line here. Miss a point of damage. And it's nice that the Pass in Flames is in the yard. So if I Flare it, we're kind of done. The Nadu Saga plan's so bad. I mean, I agree, but I agree that if you just have 4 Harsh Mentor in the sideboard of your Rakdos Scam deck, that the matchup is probably not that bad. But yeah, nor is it probably that good either. Kind of borderline, I guess. So what are we doing? So if I kick Tideshaper, attack, I can get in for 6 damage this turn. 6 damage this turn, and then, assuming that they chump block this Master, which they probably won't. So probably 8 damage this turn. Alternatively, I can play really scared, and I can cast Tideshaper, hold up Tidebinder. Tidebinder can help against Ral and kind of Grapeshot. Why let resolve? Did you want a Flare of Denial, the Reckless Impulse, or the Ruby Medallion? I'm saving it for this Past in Flames. After this one, so if I Harbinger, we maybe cut them off of more Colors of Mana. Maybe it's wrong. It buzzed down to 8. Which means they're dead to me sacking my Trickster and just firing up the Mutavaults next turn. Have I seen the blue-black scam persist deck? I mean, I have seen blue and black scam persist decks. I don't know if there's a new one that's running around. I've been playing Nightmare Summon, liking it. Okay, so do I counter the first ritual here? This is bad if my opponent has a ritual in their hand or a land in their hand. It's up a game. I'm going to bring in my Damping Spheres, my Force of Negations. I don't know if I want to bring in Hearse or not. Hearse is kind of nice in combination with Flare of Denial, I guess. I certainly don't want any Harbinger of the Seas. Tidebinder can be okay against Ral. Kind of like having 2 Dismember, 2 Tidebinder against Ral. Seems like a good numbers. Trickster's like okay. Go down a Sylvoon, go down a Master of the Pearl Trident. Or a Trickster. Let's go down a Trickster. Not going to bring in the Hearses, I think. So 2 Flare Denials and a Force. With no pressure and nothing to sack to Flare. Kind of hard to mulligan a Force of Negation. So I'm not going to. No Hearse? Yeah, I'm not bringing in Hearse. I think I said that, but how would you have sideboarded if you would have brought in Hearse? I would be very curious to hear. Because I wasn't sure how you get it in there. So, I usually do force the Ruby Medallion, I think. Yeah, I gotta force your Ruby Medallion. I don't do Dono deck reviews anymore. But I'll just take a look at the Blue Black Priestess link. I just all for free now, it seems. This looks cool. I really want to try out Creation of Avacyn in these kind of decks. Because I do just kind of love that it's like 3 mana, put an Archon of Cruelty into play that gets around Graveyard Hate, but it is pretty dang slow. I want to see if it ends up playing kind of nice. Especially if you can like Phyrexian Tower into it. I have not been that impressed playing against Emperor of Bones. I wonder if it's good. Ripples is cool. Do like Ripples. Don't love feeling pretty dead here despite having Force of Negation up. That's what it is. I trade Creation and Eve on turn 2 is kind of slow. Always disrupted, hurts so much grabbing Archon. Thank you for the feedback. Yeah, it might be bad. Any more Satora decks this week? Yeah, maybe. Alright, have fun, opponent. They had a Ritual, a Ritual Metamorphose, and Reckless Impulse. Algris, 13 months. Thank you. Welcome back. I revisited the band Blink with Naughty Value. We played one match on a Friday, and then I needed to go get lunch. I'm kind of open to playing it today. I think it's just not as good as the combo decks, as my current thinking. It's just like, it's weird, right? Where you obviously have a better plan B if you don't Nadu, but the combo decks are just so good at Naduing and like having the redundancy to it. It kind of doesn't make, you know, I'm kind of just on that plan again, I guess. Flute any good against Ruby Storm? I mean, it's not awful, but you can, it's nice that you can name the backside of Rao sometimes. But like you could maybe bring them in if they happen to be in your sideboard, and it's like part of your sideboard plan in other matchups. But you can't really have it in your deck and be like, this is my sideboard card for Ruby Storm, baby. Think of Doom's Asmo Psychic Frogless. I would probably need to see it again. Also, I think I need to restart Magic Online. We were deterministic down, they flip the wish. Well, they could still have bricked on every Ral flip. Can I mulligan double Force of Negation? Do I have and Dismember? I don't think I have it in me, y'all. We have Hexcatcher also. Yeah, I'm not gonna mulligan. What do you poop? Plastic Flames? Yeah, I don't know. It's not super clear. Try Enhanced Surveillance combo with Energy Package and Amulet as alternate win con. Combo with Breach. I mean, maybe. What are my predictions for the PT? I think that Ruby Storm is not going to be played a lot, despite me thinking it's one of the best decks. I don't know. I think people are going to gravitate away from that deck. I think that Nadu will be the most popular deck, but I think people... Like, let's fucking go, dude. But I have a suspicion that it may get hated out a little bit. Kind of unclear, of course. Look. But I have a suspicion that, like, that Nadu will be the most played deck, and Nadu overall will have a win rate that is, like, not amazing, but there will still be, like, there will still be, like, one or two really good Nadu players who make the top 8. Is kind of my general prediction here. I think that Eldrazi will overperform at the PT. There's an Orm's chance. I expect just the controls. The thing is, people really hate to play control decks at Pro Tours. People do not like to play control decks at Pro Tours, so I would be surprised if there's a lot of it. I could just let this resolve because I have Hexcatcher, I guess, too. Want to see Nadu's win rate adjusted to not have mirror matches counted. Okay. Seems worth forcing. What about Living In? I think Living In will be very good. I think people also, like, don't really want to play Living In at tournaments, and so, like, maybe Living In ends up also being underplayed, but I think Living In will do well if people play it, and I think it's one of the better choices for the tournament. Yeah, I would not be surprised if Tron won the event again. What's got 3 cards? It should be pretty safe to play Sylvoon. Why don't they play at tournaments? Control or so people do not like to play Control at Pro Tours. It is very hard to outplay your opponents at Pro Tours, and also, like, the thing is, like, Control's win rate is partially inflated in like leagues and challenges because the Control players just outplay everybody. But it's like Control is like the easiest deck to play against. Like, it's, you know, the Control to some degree it can be very easy to just, like, play against the Control decks. Well, some people will play Jeskai, but but people just, you know, really prefer to not as a general rule of thumb at Pro Tours. Static Prison Manamorphose. Is Passive Flames a great Force of Negation target because it excels? Yeah, of course. So I think I'm just going to let this resolve. If they target the Hexcatcher, fine. If they target Sylveon, fine. Same, but for Living End. To some extent, people just hate playing Living End in general. People do not enjoy playing Living End. Is kind of simply it, and the deck Living In I think can be a very difficult deck to play at, like, the levels that, like, Gab and Inone play it at. But it's I don't think it's much more complicated than people do not enjoy playing the deck, and to some extent, people, like, even at the Pro Tour level, if, you know, people try to not make that a factor, like, in deck enjoyment or whatever, but it does end up being a factor. Yeah, no, static is pretty strong stock. No, I'm not queued for the PT. If I was, I wouldn't be streaming right now. I think I'd be at a testing house. Not really a lot they could possibly have if I Force of Negation this. Mardu scam mid-range power for the PT. I mean, I don't really like the Mardu scam list. I mean, they're okay. They're doing fine. But I think the stock lists are pretty misbuilt. At the very least, Nethergoyf is better than Guide of Souls in that deck. And then like I think you could build a build of Mardu, maybe with scam, maybe without scam. But and I like, we've been doing pretty well without the scam stuff. I think his hand's too likely to not function in the blind. You're really with Mycospawn and Worldbreaker, you're really likely to destroy your opponent's lands to enhance Trinisphere in basically every matchup, if that makes sense. Okay, my opponent has Serum powdered here. And then they kept 7. Put back an Aether Vial. MXP. Yeah, I don't know what this MXP tournament series is, but I heard that Jeskai did well at this event. It that heralds the end. It's like an Elden Ring boss. California attorneys, yeah. It's cool that y'all got your own tournament series. Is Shalson Zero worth against Nadu? So if you're in an open deck list and you know they have 4-pack Summoners packed, I would definitely bring them in. If you think they have less than 4 Summoners packs, I'm not sure. Like a lot of times they only play 2. I don't think I would bring in 1 Chalice to stop 2 Summoners packs. But if they have 3, it's closer. Depends on what deck you're playing too. Yeah, we played updated Cage list today. Went 3-2. I like the changes. That's the list I would recommend. How's the DLC? Oh, it's okay. It's tough. It's pretty tough. I'm kind of hoping that the level up stuff makes it a little bit easier, but I'm kind of getting my teeth kicked in by every single enemy I encounter. Is what it is. I'm doing my best to get good. Are we racing? So I'm down to 7. Could have maybe flared. I don't think I wanted to. I mean, sorry, they have Cavern also, though. Guess I might as well kick her, right? Yeah, I'm like the atmosphere is really nice. There's these beautiful cerulean fields. The exploration is fun. The bosses are cool, and they're kicking my teeth in really hard. So we'll see. I'm gonna play through it. And I'll formulate my opinion after I finish it, I guess. Like I kind of felt like Elden Ring pre DLC was kind of a game for everybody. You know what I mean? Like I think if you were not a fan of Souls likes, if you're not a fan of this genre of game, I think the Elden Ring is such a high quality game and is also like kind of a lot more accessible too for newer players. That it seemed like a good like it was just kind of a game that everybody could play and enjoy. And I like the DLC, or like or I should say like the DLC is less like that. The DLC is more. If you don't like the genre, you're gonna have not as good a time, I think. So they could trade here, go to 3. Hopefully that makes sense. Kind of like that lands are good and non-Aether Vial spells are good. Yeah, I've been using summons and still getting my teeth kicked in. Okay, I'm having fun. Okay, so I can block the Mimic with my Sylvoon. It'll be a 4/5, indestructible. Oh. Kind of weird my opponent doesn't even go for the lethal attack here, huh? Interesting. Okay, so up a game against Eldrazi. Kind of pre-boarded, I guess. Go down to 2 flares. I don't know if I want these Tidebinders. Maybe just play, maybe 3 Subtlety, 3 flare. The issue is, yeah, the DLC having this separate leveling mechanic is, it's interesting. I feel like I don't know. I've already like leveled up like 4 or 5 times with it, and I'm like still getting my teeth kicked in pretty hard. But I don't know. But I don't really mind it. Like I'm enjoying the difficulty. I'm enjoying that feeling of like struggling through a Souls game early. But just, I used to feel like Elden Ring was a game for everyone, and I still feel that way about the base game, but I just don't feel like the DLC is going to be something everybody enjoys. So I would probably try to wait on the Tide Shaper so I can get that Eldrazi Temple. What level did I go in as? So I only beat Moog, Radon, and Renala because I wanted to play on my PlayStation instead of up here, so I'm not just up here all day. So I ended up going in, I think, at level 90, which is not very high. So that might be part of it too. And like maybe I might just go back through some more of the main game because I still need like my 4th talisman pouch. Need some stuff. What's my take on Murktide? I think the blue-red Wizards deck I've been playing is pretty good. I think the card Murktide Regent probably shouldn't be in that deck. 60 Vigor, what else? Oh, I don't have 60 Vigor. I have like 50 Vigor. I like 50 Vigor, 60 Strength, 35 Endurance, or something like that. I'm a higher level now, though, by the way. I'm like 105 now. I've leveled up a bunch in the DLC. Flame of Nor is super good in Modern right now. I don't think you can play it in Merfolk very easily because of the new... Oh, did I named Eldrazi? Oh my gosh. Too used to Eldrazi. Okay, I'm like, why can't I tap my Cavern? Drowsy, 6 months, thank you, welcome back. Just... I think I want to flare that. I think colorless Caverns could be fine here. One's got 4 cards in their hand. Yeah, I'm just daydreaming about playing the mono green Eldrazi deck. Okay, I'm gonna restart Magic Online real quick. Just while we wait. How does Cat Hammer with a Johnny, Osla Pride, and Kimba sound? It sounds very fun. I think people get a little too lost in the sauce on like the fact that a Johnny works with cats. It's like a Johnny really just works with itself and has some like fun flavor text is the reality. Okay, so let's Harbinger this turn. Could obviously make a good argument for like trickstering the Thought-Knot Seer and attacking. Kind of feel like this might be manageable. Is this what's been in stock as a Murktide list? Yeah, I think so. At the very least, I think stock Murktide is like really unplayable, so like it had better be. You know what I mean? But yeah, we trophied with it. I thought it was pretty good. So I think I target this and then double block the Thought-Knot Seer. Go to 2. Draw a card. Oh, okay. They leave me with my Trickster too. Love this for us. Don't love this as much. Kind of an inconvenient time to draw that. I guess I can probably let this go and just counter the next thing. Kind of need to draw Merfolk. That is kind of a Merfolk, but not actually a Merfolk. So now I'm dead on board, which sucks. See if they play around anything. What made Murktide so bad? Too much scam Bowmasters. It's just like the card Murktide region isn't very good. You should be playing Flame of Venor in your. You need to have 4 Flame of Venor with Tamio. Tamio is really good. Tamio is crazy with Flame of Venor. You play these 2 cards together. At that point, you like really want to play Snapcaster, and like there like just isn't like a lot going on with the. There isn't a lot going on. I feel with like regular ass Murktide. Like the energy package is better than the Delirium package, I think. I've been loving Unstable Amulet. I've been loving Galvanic Discharge. I've been loving Party Thrasher in that deck. It's just like Flame of Venor is so good, not only with Tamio, but it's so good in this metagame of Ruby Medallion, Ral, Nadu, Shuko. It's just awesome. Okay, we'll keep. Serum Powder again. Is Merfolk busted? Merfolk is playable, I think. Ooh, double Devourer. Although, unfortunately for them, neither of them were in the Serum Powder hand. Serum Powder is a really sick card. I wish I liked it. Also, like, they mulliganed that hand. It had Labyrinth. It had turn 2 Fleshraker. I guess it wasn't that good. Okay, they got a lot of stuff in exile over there. They have 39 cards left in their library on turn 1. That heralds the end again. What do we cut Dockhands for? I mean, I just didn't put Dockhands in the list. Obviously, you could play Dockhand, but I'm not like in love with the card, and I really want to have a lot of Silvergill Adepts in my Flare of Denial deck. But you could play Dockhand. Dockhand's okay. Another one. Kind of intimidating. Not sure that this is correct. I feel like it can't be that bad to take this line. Do you like no Vial or New Merfolk decks? I think not playing Aether Vial is a huge mistake. It's one of these like feel really clever deck building decisions that to me seems clearly wrong. Yeah, I'm not a fan of. See Merfolk this time. With the intention to take 6 if I have to, and then hopefully they can't cast anything because they have no colorless mana. I can bounce one of these end of turn. Oh, not only do they draw colorless mana, but they I guess if they they can't cast Devourer. I don't even know what this is supposed to be. Seer? Okay, I'll just counter Seer. Alright, a lot of good draws here. Not one of them. Could animate Vault, block, sink the other land to trade off. Yeah, could. It's probably our line here. Yeah, they couldn't make the Thought-Knot Seer uncounterable because this is their only colorless source. Probably a little too far behind here. I miss Silvergill. Yeah, you have to play Silvergill, I think, with all these flares, probably. It's just not... You can play around Bowmaster. I think it's just not... You know, just fine. Red Mountain. What the freaking heck? 4 cards in their hand. One of them is one of these. Man, I don't... The card's really scary. But if I flare, they can play another one of these. I don't know. Yeah, we're also getting Linebreaker next turn. Uncounterable Linebreaker. Also, I can't tell which one is... I'm pretty sure this is the one locking under the temple. Okay, all right, yeah, and then we just sacked that one, right? Sorry, obviously. But I think I have to counter that. So punish for not taking up the vial. I think I am now mostly hoping I was wrong about them having Linebreaker, or, you know, maybe they just don't have a waste in their deck. They exiled waste with Prismatic Beasto, so yeah, maybe they don't have Linebreaker. I think I gotta cast this and turn off their colorless mana. May I suggest an affinity build with Tommy meets Story Circle? You may suggest, yeah. I've tried to build it. We've actually spent probably 30 minutes to an hour on stream trying to figure out a build that looks somewhat presentable, and have failed so far doing so. So if you have a draft that you think is good, it's fine, but we need a little bit more. I'm a big fan of the green deck, but obviously like these builds are fine too. You don't have to play Silvergill. I mean, when I say have to, maybe I could phrase my opinion a little different, but I think that you should play it. I think Silvergill is very, 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 very important card for Merfolk, and you just don't have to live in fear of Merfolk. You at the very least don't have to live in fear of Bowmasters. You can trim some copies on the draw against Bowmasters, and then be very, very happy you have 4 copies in your deck every single other game. If your opponent has Bowmaster up, consider playing around it. Keep this. Yeah, I wonder how many people play Merfolk at the Pro Tour. I think not many, probably. But it's on the multi-5. Did Nadu win the PT? Maybe. I'm pretending that Nadu puts 1 to 2 copies in the top 8, and Nadu is the most played deck, but doesn't have a super good win percentage overall. Is my current prediction. I think it'll have a big target on its head, and I think some of the better pilots will do well with it in top 8, but I think that it'll have a big enough target on its back that it won't have a... I think it'll be the most played deck and will not have the best win rate, maybe that's a good way to phrase it. Here's $3, 3x increase of all the YouTube AdSense I've generated. Thank you so much, Karen. I squint to read. I just hold a podcast flare. I have 3. I'll just flare the search for tomorrow. I was talking about Nadu. I think that Storm. I think Storm will be not as played as Nadu. I think people will play it, but for me, it feels like a deck people will gravitate away from. But I think Storm is very, very good, and I think it would be a deck I would be happy to register at least. But I think people will gravitate away from it, and I think it'll probably do reasonably well. So I'm supposed to leave this at 2, I believe, so future adepts are alive. Cancel control. Yeah, I think Tron, Eldrazi Tron, and like even more normal builds will be pretty good and popular too. A specific significant iteration of Nadu by BOP. Yeah, I mean, I think that is one thing about Nadu is you can lump them all together, but it's not super clear if like Sultai or the Flare of Denial builds or whatever best. How my draw is this bad? This is exactly this is bad for Merfolk because I feel like this is about how I draw every single time I play this deck or any deck almost. And winning anyways. The Aspiring Spike way. Draw mediocre, win anyways. My initial inclination was to play all these Tidebinders, but you can't actually snag search on the draw, but they have a lot of fetch lands, they have rings. Harbinger of Seas is weird too. It turns out they're Valakut stuff, but it dies to bolt really hard, and they have a lot of basics. I think I'm gonna go just trim a copy of this card. I'm gonna cut all the Tricksters, and then Dryad is kind of scary. Let's play one Dismember, and then play the Force of Negations, then maybe at that point the fourth Harbinger gets back in. I guess there's not really anything else I'd rather play. You've drawn 4 creatures past 2 games combined. Yeah, I don't know. It does feel like we've been going on some pretty low low bally runs lately. I don't know. I'll try to draw better. Dude, I do love Elven Chorus in Merfolk. It's so cool with the Deeproot Pilgrimage. Come on, blue source. Take your time. Harbinger seems mediocre. I don't know. It's mediocre is probably not the right word. Where this is like, this is your deck doesn't function until this dies, but you can tap for mana. So I don't know. I don't think there's probably a much better way to sideboard. Maybe a marginally better way. Island, I summon the, sink to the Stupor. Begrudging Aether Vial. Your turn. I think Eldar and Green Eldars could work. Double green's kind of a non-starter for that deck, I think. Alright, we're getting in. I love trading Mutavault for Galvanic Discharge this turn. You got 2 cards in your hand. If I draw a blue source, I probably should lead on Sylvoon, right? Maybe 4 Mutavaults is too many. I think I'm always playing 4 Mutavaults in this deck, probably. This is just an Aspiring Spike stream. I drew all lands, now I drew all spells, back-to-back games, just nothing new. And winning anyways. Nothing new here. Don't worry about it. Last game, we would have loved more Mutavaults. I mean, okay. Am I dead? I think I go to 2 and then I can maybe just Harbinger. What's it with the 25? Thank you so much. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, I just go to 2 and then cast this one. I have a counter spell. I think you get wits for the 25. They can kill my Tide Shaper, take me out blue. They could have. They could have, yeah. Your turn. They did keep a card on top, but you know they can't. If it's Titan, they can't cast Titan. I mean, hit him with the 2-turn clock. The Aspiring Spike way. Screw flood, screw flood, screw flood, win anyways. Alright. Get a 4-1 prediction going. I'm going to keep this one, I think. Lead on Sync and Super Taps, probably. Don't think I'm supposed to just Tide Shaper Unknown. Alright, so we will reveal Master, I guess. Apologies for saying Tide's mediocre, didn't realize they're in Tide Valakut. That's fair. I mean, I almost trimmed one, so, you know, it wasn't, like, totally on the other side of the fence. That's a 2-for-1, baby. Oh, no. A second Ragavan. Mutavault! So I might Tidebinder the Guide of Souls. It would be nice to, like, Trickster the Ragavan in combat, then block the Guide of Souls and chomp it up. Seems like what we get to go for here. Oh. What the heck? They're playing around it? You're not allowed to do that. Huh. It's not necessarily expecting them to have a bolt. I guess second Ragavan means they didn't need to bolt last turn. They rudely get rid of an island of mine. I needed that to double spell opponent. Is it too fearful to just Trickster Ragavan on turn 2 to guarantee hit even though it's much removal? Yeah, I would say too fearful. It's probably a good way to put it. Can you not counter the beginning of combat trigger? We could. Do you think that was the better line? Might have been. Let's see if they jump anything. But if they do, we could just dismember whatever they jump. Okay, so we'll dismember the Felia. And then I could Tidebinder the Guide of Souls. I think I'm just going to go Trickster Guide of Souls so they can't gain any more energy post-combat, try to block here. Well, they do get to flicker the amulet, which kind of stinks. Maybe Tidebinder, like the Felia return trigger to get rid of the amulet could have been good. Blage could be good here. So I gotta save Tidebinder for that, I guess. They're missing a card in the yard, so I mean, if they flip a fetch land, it's pretty bad to take this line. Oh, they didn't tap the amulet end of turn. They might just go in on Guide of Souls. Okay, they're just punting. That's fine. They hit Sacred Foundry, not a fetch land, thankfully. So they're, you know, a card short here. They do play the Sacred Foundry untapped, though. Kind of surprised they didn't attack with the Guide of Souls, because if they Like they probably just wanted like chump attacks so they could escape Flage, I would think. But now we'll Harbinger so that they only have a single planes. Dude, Harbinger is crazy. Ooh, glad that wasn't there instead of the Sacred Foundry. GG's. Well, let's wait a little bit. But it seems like we're in pretty good shape. I agree. How did we lose to Tron with Harbinger? I don't think we did lose to Tron this match. Did we? I mean, we could lose to Tron, but what did we lose to in round one? Yawgmoth, yeah, Yawgmoth. Okay, so up a game against Boros. Let me bring in the hearses. I think my opponent can play around these Harbingers pretty well. Might leave one in on the draw. Kind of like just maybe play 0, just play Tidebinder on the draw. Tidebinder seems pretty good against them. I don't think that that we can really almost possibly have a Harbinger that was that good again. Maybe we should have some number of Subtlety. Do you think Flare of Denial is not very good in this matchup, actually? Maybe play 1 Flare of Denial, 3 Subtlety. I think Subtlety is better. Yeah, having Oops I Win draws are just so important for any deck, and this deck definitely has that. Okay, so because I want Sylvoon to be indestructible, I'm pretty likely to play Tideshaper turn 1. Also, they might just Ragavan me. No way you're cutting the card, you won the game. Yeah, this is, I think, a mindset that players have sometimes, that if a card wins you a game in game 1, you should not cut it going into Sideboard games. But some cards are a lot better game 1. And I think Harbinger is a really good example of a card that is much better in game 1s than in game 2s. But, you know, kind of simply put, like, we're on the draw, it's much worse. My opponent's going to fetch basics a lot more aggressively. The card is not going to be as good in game 2 as it was in game 1. And I think game 3 back on the play, I'm somewhat interested in like boarding more copies in, but I'm pretty happy to have sideboarded like this. So I guess I'm gonna Trickster the Felia. Lol, why would you get Harbinger? Lol, did you not hear me explain it 2 or 3 times? Or... I definitely had said it when I cut it. You know, like look here, my opponent has fetched 2 basics. Y'all are silly. Like maybe game 3 on the play, I could get behind bringing some number back in, but on the draw, it's gonna be much worse. First cast the Aether Vial. Raptor was so crazy this game. How strong do you see the red white deck in new meta? So the Boros deck is good in like it's very, very good in every fair matchup and very bad against every combo deck. So yeah, that's about it. All right, game 3. Tidebinder is also like so good against Felia, so good against Unstable Amulet, Amped Raptor, Blade sometimes. And my opponent's fetching basics pretty aggressively. And their deck also plays like Lightning Bolt and Galvanic Discharge. Yeah, I'm just gonna not have Harbinger in. I think you could play 1 or 0 on the play. I'm just gonna not have it. Alright, keep this. Yeah, I agree this is a pretty tough matchup. Thoughts on Jeskai? Jeskai's pretty good. I think I prefer the ring builds, which I know is the boring builds, but... Do we side Savoon? No, we have 4 Savoons. We sided out the Harbingers. Okay, I'll accept this exchange, I guess. Best draw is Svyelun by pretty big margin. So play this as a 1/1 to trade with Ragavan and hold up the Trickster. Has my opinion on Nadu changed? My opinion on Nadu has changed a lot over the last like month. From first seeing it and like just not thinking the card was that exciting to starting to look at the Shuko list and not knowing like what builds are best and still not really knowing what builds are best, but Nadu is one of the best decks in Modern. Over here they haven't well, I'm not evoking Subtlety. How do you think people missed on Flage so hard? Well, MH2 is a confusing set. Nobody got everything right when it came to MH3. Um, like I liked Flage a lot. I thought Flage was really good, but I didn't think that red-white decks would be as good as they are. But card evaluation stuff, it is what it is. There's a good chance they play a creature pre-combat. People missed on Uro being busted for an entire year or so. I don't think that's true. Nor do I. Was Uro even legal in Modern for more than a year? Yeah, I'm pretty sure Uro was like immediately. That's interesting. Yeah, Uro was maybe legal in Modern for more than a year, but not much more than a year, if a year. Don't need to activate the hearse quite yet. Because they don't have enough cards to escape yet. I could just respond to a fetch land. Original Megas, yeah, I know. Obviously, Harbinger has some spots where it can be good, but they're really playing around at hard game too. And they are a deck with like a ton of these too. Want to just eat the Flage? I'm telling you, there's no reason to do it yet. There was no reason to do it yet. It's not one that I could see. So there was a reason they had enough to escape. They did not have enough to escape. I hope this. Oh, I don't know. They did not. They had 5 total cards. If they sacked prison, well, I could respond to the subtlety trigger with the hearse still. I think whereas the trigger not go in the stack if there's no target. Yeah, it doesn't seem much reason to sink since they just cast it again. They hit another Ajani, which is pretty good. I don't know what to do about this. I could bounce the static prison. Doesn't seem very good. I'm probably just gonna have to bounce a cat. Bounce one after they sack the other. I mean, it just doesn't really do much. They just replay it. They get another cat. I think I'm gonna have to like attack this with the hearse. Bounce the Johnny's ability results. Then they just recast it. It doesn't seem like. Seems like this doesn't do anything. Bounce a cat, block the hearse. Yeah, I don't know. That doesn't sound like winning line. Does seem like they have something else, which is bad news. Yeah, can't really beat a Galvanic Discharge. I mean, even if I bounce and then block, then activate, they can still just discharge again. So I think I'm just bouncing a cat still, and losing the game. Yeah, but bouncing the discharge just it doesn't do anything because they still just get me. So I don't know. Probably just not a super winnable game. Alright, I'll concede. Yeah, maybe the matchup is just so awful you need the Harbinger to have a chance. Okay, so 3-2 with Merfolk. Merfolk seems, you know, playable. Let's do another mono green Eldrazi, I think. I think it's